Right now, beneath the soil of Africa lies more than half of the world's gold, 90% of its cobalt, and enough diamonds to fill an Olympic swimming pool. And yet, most people living above these treasures survive on less than $2 a day. How does a continent so rich in resources become the poorest in the world? The answer is darker and more complicated than you think. Africa holds 30% of the world's mineral reserves. It has the most arable land on Earth. It has massive rivers, oil fields in Nigeria, gold in Ghana, coltan in the Congo, the metal inside every smartphone on the planet. So the problem is not that Africa lacks resources. The problem is who controls them and where the money goes. To understand why, we have to go back roughly 150 years. In 1884, European leaders held a conference in Berlin without a single African in the room and divided the entire continent between themselves like a pizza. Britain took the East. France took the West. Belgium got the Congo. These borders cut through tribes, split families, and mixed enemies together into the same country. When African nations eventually gained independence in the 1960s, they inherited borders that made no sense, and institutions built to extract wealth, not build it. Here's the cruel twist. Having too many resources can actually make a country poorer. Economists call this the resource curse. When a country discovers oil or diamonds, foreign companies rush in with contracts that send most of the profit abroad. Local governments get a small cut, but corrupt leaders keep it for themselves. Meanwhile, farming and manufacturing collapse because the country becomes entirely dependent on one export. When that resource price drops, the whole economy collapses with it. Nigeria earns billions from oil, yet 80 million Nigerians live in poverty. That's the resource curse in action. After independence, African governments needed money to build roads, schools, hospitals. They borrowed it from the World Bank, from rich countries, from China. But loans come with interest. Many African nations now spend more money repaying debt than they spend on healthcare. And foreign aid, while helpful short-term, often destroys local industries. When America sends free grain to Africa, local farmers can't compete, so they go out of business. The cycle of dependency deepens. But here's what the headlines don't tell you. Africa is changing fast. Ethiopia is one of the fastest growing economies on Earth. Rwanda went from genocide to becoming one of Africa's cleanest, safest, most tech-forward countries in 30 years. The African Union is building a continental free trade zone, the largest in the world by number of countries. Africa has the youngest population on Earth, with a median age of just 19. That's 1 billion young people learning, building, and refusing to accept the story they inherited. Africa is not poor because of geography. It is not poor because of its people. It is poor because of 150 years of extraction, broken borders, and systems designed to keep wealth flowing outward. But that story is being rewritten right now. If you want to understand the world, start by understanding Africa. Subscribe for more. Next week, we're covering the country that disappeared from the map.